giving you a voice.
Making it loud our own way.
Welcome to the fun.
We'd like to thank Stryker for their continued support of First Updates Now. Stryker's internship portal is now open and available. Discover internships and rotational programs located around the world, including their headquarters in Michigan, when you go to careers.stryker.com and click on Students and Graduates. We'd also like to thank Kettering University. Kettering University is where robotics students come for their education. Over 30% of those who attend Kettering University were in high school robotics, and you can keep going with their BattleBots, VexU, esports, and First Mentorship programs. If you are a U.S. student grades 8 through 12, scan the QR code to stay up to date on info and events happening at Kettering and get a free Kettering t-shirt when you sign up by December 12th, 2021.
Welcome to Storm Surge. As a dangerous hurricane approaches First City, robots in a remote base must race to upload crucial weather data before the storm hits. Alliances of 3 robots each place data packets onto the memory caches and shoot data packets into the data ports, uplinking to the cloud at the end of the match to send the remaining data to First City. Robots start on the charging line opposite of their driver's station, preloaded with 1 data packet. Due to the intensity of the storm, robots cannot communicate with drivers and must operate autonomously for the first 15 seconds of the match to score data packets into the high and low data ports and queue data on the memory caches for increased scoring bonuses. For the remaining 2 minutes and 15 seconds of the match, the worst of the storm has passed the island, allowing drivers to control their robots in the teleo-operated portion of the match. Data packets can be retrieved from the transfer stations adjacent to the driver stations and then placed on one of 2 memory caches matching the Alliance's color, or scored in the high and low data ports. Data packets placed in the memory cache will reward additional point bonuses for the next data packet scored in the data port. Alliances will be awarded 1 ranking point for uploading a specified number of data packets to First City. Near the end of the match, robots will race to their upload stations to send a final wave of data before the storm hits. Alliances gain points by parking at the upload station and will be awarded additional points by uplinking to First City using the uplinks. The Alliance with the highest score at the end of the match wins. Storm into action in Storm Surge.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 1678 Storm Surge CADathon presented on First Updates Now. We have some awesome designs created to tackle the Storm Surge Challenge, and we can't wait to show them off to you. From Team 1678 Citrus Circuits, I'm Dave Powers. As many of you have seen in the introduction, Storm Surge was one of the 2021 Game Design Challenge winners. And to help talk about the submissions, we have 2 of the judges from the Storm Surge CADathon joining us, who are both students on 1678. Ellie and Brendan, you want to say hi?
Hi, my name's Ellie, and this is my 4th year on Citrus Circuits. I'm currently the strategy lead, and I've been working on design for 3 years.
I'm Brendan. I am a 2nd-year member on Citrus Circuits. I'm a design and strategy student.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Ellie and Brendan, for coming out and being on with us. So we all had an amazing time checking out all of the amazing submissions. Everybody here was absolutely blown away with all of the design work. It was really cool to see some of the robots designed for the game that we designed. It was definitely a new aspect of it to get to look at all of the robots from that side of it. All of the teams had an awesome attention to detail, creativeness, and design. To offer a little bit of transparency, I figured I'd give a quick recap on how the judging process went. So we had 12 awesome submissions. In order to accurately score all of the teams, we broke up the teams and had 2 members from 1678 individually give scores for each of the categories. All of these categories include manufacturability, feasibility, robot actions, did it follow the rules, and wow factor. After each judge gave their score, we ranked the teams. Then we had further discussions to talk about any major discrepancies between the 2 judges to come to a more accurate score. And then once everything was tallied, we averaged those, and that gave us our final rankings. So we would like to thank West Coast Products for providing gift cards for our top 3. I was pretty surprised. This is pretty awesome prize for everybody. We got $100 going to first place, $50 going to second place, and $25 going to third place. So thank you to West Coast Products for hooking us up with those. And also a huge thank you to First Updates Now for hosting this presentation and for also providing a fun t-shirt and some Discord swag to a random individual watching live. So make sure you stick around for a chance to win. All right, so we have 12 fantastic entries to go over. All of them are very capable of playing the Storm Surge game. So let's start off with our number 12 rank. All right, so 421. 421's robot had a pretty interesting design. It was an interesting concept that when we were kind of thinking about the game, none of us really thought of this design. So it was kind of cool to see. There was a couple of things that we thought would actually pop up as a little bit of an issue. The main thing being picking the claw roller, which was very reminiscent of a 2011 roller claw. The 4-bar arm looked pretty good, but the roller claw itself, it looked like it would probably need a little bit of modification to actually pop up the game piece and be able to intake it as well as deposit it. Also, there was a little bit of details missing from the CAD that we probably would have liked to see, as well as the climber mechanism, or the climber mechanism itself kind of looked a little wishy-washy in terms of being able to, the design was laid out to be able to grab onto the platform and the whole robot would flip over. So we thought that was kind of a little bit of a reach. But other than that, awesome job to Team 421. You all did an incredible job, and it was really awesome to see your submissions. So thank you.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, really good job, Team 421. So let's move to our rank 11 team. Okay, so nice job, Team 282, the bungee cords. Really liked your design. It was super cool. You had a lot of good elements, and I liked how you incorporated stuff from our past FRC games, specifically the 2019 S-Climb and 2013 kind of shooter that you can see there in the center. And then I thought your use of the shooter, as well as kind of your grabbing mechanism, you can't really see in the picture there, but it's pretty cool to grab the discs and put them on the cache. That was a really good idea to kind of separate those different tasks. One of the major problems, I guess, that we saw with this robot was just interference and kind of lack of certain details that we'd expect to see in a robot. So things like a belly pan and other just general things that you typically see in a robot were missing. But overall, really nice job, guys. I liked how easy everything is to manufacture, and you can definitely see how to make all of these different components, and your submission really outlined how you can make each different component and then put it together, which is always really great when making a robot.
Yeah, I think with this one, we would like to see a little bit more detail in the CAD. It looked a little thrown together. It kind of was a little reminiscent of the like OG Crayola CAD stuff that we do really early in the season. So we probably would have liked to see a little bit more detail, but overall, the feasibility and the concept looked really good.
Yep.
All right, so moving on, we have rank number 10. Give it up for Team 117. So this was probably admittedly one of my favorite robots, just because it was very reminiscent of a 2013 robot, particularly the 2013 robot that I was a part of. So it reminded me of some really good times. And the fact that it was designed by just a single person on a team is really impressive. So awesome job to whoever out there did that. It's really crazy that you were able to pull that off in a short amount of time. So this concept looked awesome. Like I said, straight out of 2013 with the intake in the back and the shooter diagonally up front. This design really did a great job of showing how keeping things simple can be a winning strategy. We know with a lot of tuning and a little bit more detail work, this robot concept would probably do really well, being a really fast cycling robot. So, like I said, there was a couple small things that took away from the score, like just detail oriented and some slightly questionable design choices, and then the lack of an end game mechanism would have been something cool. But other than that, I think this robot was really cool to see, and I enjoyed seeing the concept kind of come together.
I also really think a cool thing that we saw with this robot was just how the actual shooter worked was just really simple, but also everything worked well in the CAD. It was all really clean, and it was clear that effort had been put in, and it had also been done just with good design in mind.
Yeah, just to elaborate a little bit more, I think the one main thing that I saw that probably took away from the score a little bit was that shooter was one giant piece of sheet metal. I worked with sheet metal for a long time, and I know if somebody gave me that, I would probably cry. So I think if that design was a little bit more thought out and breaking it up into either two separate pieces or some C channels on the end with some top and bottom plates, that probably would have gone a long way. It would have been cool to see it on a swerve drive, I think, for sure. I think that this thing would have done really well. I think that I enjoyed it. The swerve drive probably would have added a lot to this team's ability. Cool. So I think we can move on. So we got rank number 9.
Yeah, so this was Team 302, circular dependency detected. So this was actually a really nice robot. It was designed really well. The belts on the side of the shooter, which is how it brings the donuts up, is a really nice way. It's executed cleanly. The side wheels for shooting are also great. It's the straightforward way to generate spin on the game piece, which is what we had to see in 2013. And the belt setup on all of that is clean. There's no interference. The belly pan on this robot's actually done really well too. There's a really clear wiring path. You don't even have to be really an expert in electrical to really understand that, yeah, this could work and I could probably do it if I had to. The main issue that we actually found with this robot was just that the intake was mounted in kind of a way that we were worried that it might bend. So in a situation like this, when you're trying to have the intake extend that long, it would be probably better if you push the pivot point up on the robot instead of having it extend from all the way back there, because in Storm Surge what we're expecting to see, or if this was actually played, is a really high defense account. And what we were worried with this bot is that if someone hit the intake or nudged it or hit the robot when it was doing something with the intake, it could run the risk of having to bend or have the metal inside torque or something, and we really didn't want to see that. And then the other main issue we saw with this was the way that the chain was wrapped up was with chain spools, and that's a really clever way to use COTS parts to make it so that you don't have to spend a lot of money on this. It does run the risk of the fact that that is basically a bunch of metal spikes spinning, which, while cool, doesn't exactly follow the spirit of first, and I believe it starts hitting some conflicts in section R of the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I really like this design. I think that you can look at this like main picture right here, and the thing that screams at me in my brain is when I look at something like this is those two long, very thin arms with the entire mechanism up top. Like that does not scream rigidity. So I think that if there was you come up with a way to make that a lot more rigid and a lot more consistent, it probably would have gone a long way into making this robot something that's a lot more feasible and something that would last in the competition. That was a big thing that we were looking at was with all of these submissions, not only how can you keep it simple, how can you keep the cost down, How can you manufacture something? How is there anything that you can make that like anybody can make with a small number of tools that any shop can have, like a small router and a lathe? Um, and then will it last in the competition? That's like always a huge thing. Something that we've learned over the years is you just need to be able to go out and know that it's going to work consistently, and you're going to get some hard hits. There's going to be a lot of defense, especially if the robot performs very well. You kind of end up with a little bit of a target on your back, and then with that intake coming down and being outside of the frame perimeter, right, you're really exposing it to a lot of potential warpage and bending of other teams. So I would almost guarantee that that would probably be an issue in the season. But other than that, everything looked very well done. The CAD was really well thought out. And they did a lot of work in a short amount of time. So it was very impressive. So awesome
Yeah.
job to this team.
And also another shout out is just that this was made with the intention of having it be so that a team with not that many resources at their disposal could make it. And this is definitely a great example of how you can do that. This is mostly made with plates, COTS parts, and then stuff that you can just make with your normal tools that you might find in a garage. This was a really great example of how to create a bot that is like pretty easily manufactured.
Okay, cool. So let's move on to our rank number 8. All right, team 563. So I was a big fan of this. Yes, from Mexico. I was a big proponent of this design. I think that they did an awesome job. I think there was some few bits and pieces that I talked about that could probably use some improvement. But again, the nice, simple design is what we were looking for, and this looked to follow that as an overall structure and overall concept. Starting off with the intake just folds right down. It's right there. It can bring in those game pieces, which is all you really need, right? So it looked simple. It looked like it would work. It looked consistent. And then moving up to the little conveyor that pulls those up, everything looked like it would work really well into the shooter. The shooter looked like it was an awesome design. It looked very consistent with what we see with successful game designs. There was a lot of bits and pieces in here that were really impressive design work, but unfortunately, we were really looking for a lot more usage of COTS in simplistic design methods, right? So a good example of something that could really save you a lot of headaches in the future is, do you see those giant white bars that run along the climber? So those look like crazy billet parts. And granted, they look like amazing parts, maybe something that like 971 would make because they're nuts. But for the everyday team, that's not really something that that everybody should be trying to do. There's a better usage of your time in a short season. So moving those over to something like either a sheet metal part or a tubing gusset part would really go a long way in the manufacturability of this. There is some of the other really crazy concepts. This is a suction climber. So these two little pads up top will suck onto the platform and lift the robot up. That concept was very cool to me. It looked like it would be something that would probably, coming from a team that did a suction climber in 2018 or 2019. I don't even remember the years anymore. It's been so long. 2019. I know that it takes a long time to get those to work consistently. So that would probably be the cause of a lot of headaches, which is something that when you're thinking forward and designing a robot, you kind of want to avoid that, right? Suction climber is really nice because it packages really well. It's really bad because there's a lot of small details that you need to really think through to make them work consistently in an everyday match. But other than that, this team did a really nice job. The gearboxes were beautiful. Probably, maybe I would just thrown a COTS gearbox in there because it works consistently, but those are relatively simple nowadays. So that all looked good. There was a small bit of conflicting parts between the mechanisms that kind of detracted from the score a little bit. But other than that, I think this team did an awesome job putting together this robot. And again, I keep saying it, but it still blows my mind that all of these teams were able to do this in just a week. So awesome job to Team 563.
Yeah. All right. So our next robot is rank 7 is Team 345, the meme team. This one was really well done, really, really thorough. You can see there all of the different parts of the robot. There's a mechanism like for every part of this game, which was really cool to see. We really liked how in-depth everything was. The submission also included a really broad list of all of the parts that you're going to need to build this robot and how to do that, which was really cool to see. Again, like Dave was saying in the previous robot, we see a suction climb, which kind of detracts somewhat from the overall score in general, because these were just really hard to make well. And if they were made well, then they'd be really expensive from the 2019 game. So though they are super cool, especially with that heavy of a robot, it would have been pretty hard to make. But other than that, the climb was really cool and really detailed. You can see there the main part of the robot is mostly, the shooter. And you can see those side panels to shoot the discs out would have been really great. There was a bit of an issue with the top rollers. We expect that if these are all going at the same time, then the discs would kind of tumble out instead of actually being shot out, which is not exactly what we're looking for when you're going to try to shoot discs, or one of the donuts. So that was a little bit of a problem, but other than that, this was super well done. I think a couple other things that detracted from the overall score of this were mainly just how big it was. It was quite large with quite a lot of mechanisms, which would have been fairly challenging for an average team to put together during a typical build season. I can't see most teams building a robot like this, even though it's super awesome. Just doesn't seem super possible. But nice job making all of this stuff and putting it all together. Very well done, very detailed, and I liked all of the different. I mean, all of your teams did so well. I really appreciate the colors on all of them. I thought it was so fun looking at the CADs and just you guys color coding it. I think your team said that you would powder coat it, which would be super cool.
I hope that Corsetto, can you click back so they can see me? Corsetto, I hope you're watching right now. One of the 1678 students just said powder coating is cool, which is progress. Maybe someday we'll get some color on the citrus robots. I'm probably going to get kicked off for saying that, but that's okay. Yeah, Team 345, this robot, incredibly detailed CAD work. But the concept was probably a little bit more ambitious than what we were really looking for. Like you said, we're trying to look for something that any team could build, any team could reliably make in a regular season. And this was probably something that would be, it would take a lot of time and you would have a lot of exhausted people at the end of the season if you were building something like this. But it was really, really cool to see. Just all of the different mechanisms, how you were able to integrate them all really, really well. Some of the gearboxes were very, very pretty. Some of the shooter mechanism was great, and it looked like it would probably work. But other than that, it looked like I was looking at this and I was like, I'm getting tired just looking at it.
Yeah,
sure.
there were a couple issues actually within the shooter. The overall theme seemed to be great, but there were a couple belt paths that looked like they had gotten messed up somehow. So belts were actually colliding with shafts on the left-hand side, which was a slight issue. And then there were also a hex shaft that was just kind of sitting there in the middle of a belt path, which also was an issue that we had to take points off for.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's move on to rank number 6.
Rank number 6 was Team 673, the Lambots. This was made up of members from Team 3478. This was a really cool bot that basically had an arm that would stand up, and then you could shoot from both that arm and then also place using that arm. It was a really cool design. We ended up liking almost all of it. There were just a couple issues that we found. Just to talk about the good stuff first. The mechanism that the arm sat on was really cool. It had a turntable that was made and actually looked like it could be made really easily, which is really impressive. Turrets are almost always really complex and hard to do, and the fact that you came up with a pretty manageable way to do that is honestly really impressive. And then you also had a really cool way of managing the chain. So a lot of times we would see people try to roll it up like with their own stuff, but this was a really cool way of just doing it simply with managing it. So it was just you have a thing spin and then that pulls the chain down, which is really sick. The only main issue we had with this was structural integrity. So a lot of the ways that stuff was mounted, for example, the chain puller and then the arm grabber was a little problematic. The shafts didn't look too tightly secured, and then also there were issues where it was a pretty thin plate holding this massive arm, which didn't really seem like it would work too well, especially because the arm was going to be moving around a lot, rotating, going up and down, which made it a lot harder for us to think that that would probably be that structurally sound, especially during a match when defense is going to get played a lot.
Something to add, like I think this robot and a couple other robots we saw, like one of the main things in this game in Storm Surge is using that height. So the bottom of the end game structure could be a real advantage if you made a robot smaller than that to be able to fit under there and makes your robot paths a lot faster, or can like really help you with lining up for shooting or whatever that may be. Seeing robots like this being able to compress all of their main elements and stuff into that small space was really cool to see. Just adding that additional challenge to the CAD to make that your robots fit under there. So good job, Team 673.
I just got to say the climber, cool. I love that concept. I think it'd be cool to see maybe with a little more structural integrity added to it. It would be something that could work relatively consistently and be deployed and actuated in a very small amount of time. So that was something that stuck out to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So on to the next one. We have rank number 5.
Rank number 5 was Team 978, the Ligerbots. This was actually a pretty similar design to Team 673, but with a couple differences overall that were kind of important. So Team 978 actually didn't go for a shooter, which actually gave them a couple of design advantages. They also had a different approach to pulling down the chain, which was really cool. They used an electromagnet that would then spin, and then that could pull the chain down with that, which was really cool. And then also their arm, instead of rotating 360 degrees around on like a circle, it actually just rotated 180 degrees like up and down, which ended up actually working really well because it made it so that the placer was kind of like really versatile and also could pick stuff off of the ground on both sides, which is really important. The only main issues we really saw with this CAD were that some shafts looked like they could be secured a little more tightly, especially just because they look like they could kind of get pushed out in a couple spots, and that really isn't what you want, especially when those are the shafts that are actually holding your placer on. And then another issue we saw was just that stuff was there. It was a very good robot, but we would have liked to see some kind of like a climb or maybe a shooter. The shooter actually was really helpful because it gave the space, so maybe a climber would have been nice, just to kind of add extra levels to the game.
Something like just in general for the Storm Surge game is that, like, if you kind of analyze the rules, you can see that like placing, especially on the cache as well as in that low goal, were the main ways to gain points during like the standard match time. So just like seeing a robot focusing on that specifically is really nice to see. Instead of like just focusing on shooting, focusing on placing is much more beneficial during this game. So definitely a nice choice picking that over shooting. But like Brendan said, it would be better to have both, or at least some other mechanism as part of your robot. So
Yeah, I mean, I love the simplicity. That's like it comes down to it, right? I'm a simplistic guy, and I love a robot that you can build really really quickly and do a ton of driver practice on. It kind of reminded me of like a 2019 2910. They would probably be able to rip around the field and score a bunch of game points, and they understood that you're probably going to lose a little bit of ability in the short term, but in the long run, you can really optimize to do those few tasks really, really well. And I could see this being like the ultimate third pick for a team that would make it really, really far. So awesome job to them. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh yeah, no. And also just one other thing is this has a really cool way of actually keeping track of where this is at. There are actually 3 absolute encoders on that arm, which is really cool because it gives like a really precise way of knowing exactly where relative to your robot the arm is, which is actually really nice, especially in this game where placing is really precise.
Awesome. Okay, moving on to rank number 4. Who's it going to be?
all right, we're getting up there, guys. Nice job, Team 591 Night Vision. This was really cool, especially like for one person to design. Really, really impressive. This also, similar to other robots we've been looking at, incorporated a lot of things that we've seen proven to work in the past. So again, that 2019 kind of suction climb, as well as the 2013 shooter, kind of combine to, as well as you can see there on the side, kind of just like a box climb, a box tubing elevator, which just you can just put a donut in, raise it up, and place it on. Really simple and straightforward way to tackle the cache. So that was really cool. And just seeing that all integrated together, I think something that stood out to us with this robot was just how easy it is to manufacture all of these parts. We can really see these being made at any shop, other than, of course, that section cup. It is mostly like mill and router parts that we see there, as well as some lathe parts, which is all very standard for a typical shop. And just nice integration of everything. I think your use of the elevator for the cache, and then also that standard shooter, those looked really good, and like they definitely work in a game.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me was this robot was really the CAD was really well done all the way through. Like it was consistent. It was something that you could just start making the parts and build, which was really really important to us. You see, some people are probably like, "There's a lot more robots that probably have a lot that look a lot crazier," but for us, it's the simple robots that you can actually just like start making. You can start making prints, and you can start making parts. Do that as quickly as possible. This looked like a robot that, if you did the CAD week 1, you could start building it week 2, and week 3 you get a robot, and then you do driver practice the rest of it. So you sacrifice a little bit of like end time ability, but you really give yourself the ability to focus in on all of those small things that you can do really consistently. So awesome job. The suction climber, we were kind of hitting on it a little bit earlier. So that did detract from the score a little bit for feasibility, but other than that, awesome job. I like this one a lot.
Yeah. And something like another reason this one ranked really high is because it's still, even with like it's kind of small, comparatively small, like overall design, it still has the ability to do basically every robot action in the game, which was really beneficial to this and would be very beneficial within an actual game, to be able to kind of be that team that could take on any role during the match. So that was really cool to see as well.
Yep, that was very important to us. Okay, well, it looks like we're heading into the top 3. But before we do that, let's bring out our show's producer, Tyler, to talk about the giveaway.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. We got a couple great giveaways we're going to be doing here from First Updates Now. So first off, we have a fun logo t-shirt. We're going to be giving it away. And then also Discord sent us some swag. So this is some Wumpus swag that we're going to be giving away as well, too. So if you're interested in winning, make sure you're following the channel. You need to be doing that in order to be eligible to win. And type in the following keyword, uplink, like in the game. So hopefully you know what we're talking about. So uplink, type that in chat right now. We'll draw in just a little bit for that. Subscribers do get 5x luck as well. By the way, I want to give a big thank you to funds sponsors as well to help us stay loud, live, and independent, help us create shows just like that, starting out with careers.striker.com. If you're interested in a new internship, their portal just opened up for summer of 2022. They actually cover your housing, so you can travel almost anywhere you want that Striker touches. They're all over the world as well. So if you want to work for a leading medical manufacturer, go to careers.stryker.com to learn more. We also want to thank Kettering University. Kettering University, one of the leading engineering schools in the country. Did you actually know that many students who go to Kettering University graduate debt-free? And that's because you can start working as a co-op in year 1 right away. Not only that, about 30% of their class comes from high school robotics. So if you want to be at a university, and if you're looking at a great place to go, consider Kettering University. Go to kettering.edu to learn more. Once again, uplink is going to be your keyword. Type that in chat right now, and we'll be drawing for that in just a little bit. And good luck as we find out who our top 3 teams are.
All right. The time you've all been waiting for, the top 3. So for the $25 West Coast Products gift card, who's it going to be?
Yeah, so Team 296 got rank 3. It was actually a really impressive design. The really only main issue we had with it was just that it was just so complex and so advanced that it was not exactly the design we were looking for to win of the really simple and well executed clean design. However, it was, I'll say, just pretty cool. Let's face it here. So the ball path was actually pretty insane. As you can see here, there's a ground intake. So what happens here is the ground intake happens, and then that goes into an indexer. And then as you can see in the right-hand image, the shooter rotates all the way down to then pick up the donut and then swing back up so it can shoot. That's honestly just a really cool way of doing it, if not really complex. And I do think that deserves some rewards just because it is such a really cool design. This robot is also capable of doing almost every single action in the game, if not all of them. It can compress down and go under the uplink, as you saw, and then it also has the ability to shoot in both the low and high goals, and then it can also place by rotating the shooter there to be so that it's facing perpendicular to the side of the uplink, and then it can just slide it on using pistons that are the little yellow triangles you can see in the image. So it was a really cool robot that could do every action in the game really well and looked really cool, if not was a little more complicated than we were looking for.
The Mick Robot. I hope you don't get copyright strike. But this thing was unbelievably detailed, like down to the last little piece. Everything was catted out. The whole arm uprights maybe scared me a little bit with that whole giant mechanism. That thing's going to be really heavy. So maybe finding a way to make that a little more, that like beam, to make that a little bit more rigid. But other than that, and the complexity of the design probably scared me a little bit. And what scared me? The ringtone scared me. The little bar to grab, it had a bunch of screws that were sticking out of it. Oh my god, I was looking at that. I was like, it looked very cool and it probably worked, but it would also probably be terrifying when it was working, even moving slowly. But I think that the team did an awesome job with this. It was really detailed. It played the game really well. You could see it fitting in an alliance very well. You could see the role that it would play, and it really tried to to make everything happen, which you got to appreciate.
Yeah, this was a really great example of a robot that really could just do like everything, and it did sacrifice simplicity for that, but it's still a really cool robot that could just get everything done and actually managed to also compress down under the uplink, which was really cool because a lot of the robots that we saw that were trying to do everything couldn't do that just because it was so much stuff to do.
Yeah. Just looking at it, you're like impressed. Like anyone looking at it would be impressed. So nice job, guys. All right.
Okay, we ready to move on? So
Yeah.
okay, for rank number 2 in the $50 West Coast Products gift card, who's it going to be?
Team 235, the Generals. Yeah, nice job, guys. This is really impressive. This is like what we are looking for. You can see right here, this isn't just like this isn't like really complex or anything like that. It's super simplistic. You can see like how simple it is just by looking at that CAD. And yet it can still do most of the major things that we're looking for in this game. One really big plus to this team that made it really cool was that this team actually did a bill of materials, which is what we were hoping all of the teams to do. But through their bill of materials, you could see like how inexpensive this robot is, which is such a big bonus for just most teams to be able to make the robot is just its price. So nice job keeping it down and not going crazy with all of the different parts that you're going to need. Just looking at that CAD, you can see that most of the parts can be manufactured pretty easily, and this robot would definitely be able to be built within that eight-week build season period. So really nice job incorporating all of this and making just such a simplistic CAD that anyone can really follow. Another really cool thing there that you can see is its climb, which was awesome. You could, this climb, we've actually seen other robots do similar climbs in the past, but it's still super impressive just to look at. Just the entire robot being lifted off of that one board there at the bottom, or that one metal piece at the bottom, and then driving forward on that to lift itself onto that middle structure was such a good idea. Just taking or using that from past years' games. And just overall, this was super well done. The CAD was pretty or was well made and put together. And it had basically everything that we are hoping for a high-level robot to do. Yes, there was a couple things that this robot missed. This robot didn't include every element that you could have. I believe it was still too tall to go under the end game structure, which was somewhat unfortunate. And had a couple other things that it probably couldn't do very well, such as I think this team claimed that they could shoot, but looking at the CAD, it probably couldn't, given that there's just not enough space for it to be able to do that effectively. But overall, just having a placing robot would still be really effective for this game. And it was really good to see.
Yeah, I think the big thing for this robot with me was you probably have to do a little bit of work to make the climb work. I think that maybe the battery being all the way out at the end of it would probably kind of topple over. But we've seen some crazy platform robots that can lift the whole robot up, and there is definitely ways to make it happen with some tricking the physics a little bit, so to speak. So I think that might have been a little bit of an issue. But other than that, this robot was very, very clean. The CAD was completely clean. Again, like I said earlier, you could just take this CAD, we could send it off to the manufacturing students, and they can make it. We could probably make it in-house in a few days. Like how could you beat that? I just think that the team did a really good job of trying to think as simple as possible and make something they could do as many elements of the game with only having like a small number of mechanisms within it. I understand that the shooting is probably a little controversial, but I think it might be like a maybe some little, just like it just has a little piston that pushes it into the shooter wheel and it might go. It would probably take a lot of prototyping to determine if the 2-wheel versus a 1-wheel shooter, so you get some rotation action. It's really kind of hard to tell how the shooters would work and how the physics would work without actually being able to do some prototypes. So you're kind of free and open to doing anything. But this CAD was completely done. You know, like there's some robots that are like look a lot more impressive, but they're missing a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of conflicting. Like it's really hard for everybody to see in these small pictures, but when you really look into the details of this one, it was done. It was done. It's hard to beat that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very nice.
Okay, time everybody's been waiting for. We got one more to go. Who's it going to be? Rank number 1. Arms, arms, arms. Teams 348. Congrats to teams 348 for ranking number 1 in the competition. This robot pretty much embodied everything that we are looking for in this design challenge. I will say, if you all read the rules carefully, which you all didn't read the rules carefully, if you read them carefully, you would see that we really structured this design challenge to try and build a simple, well-executed robot that any team could make, and they can make it in-house cheaply with resources that could be obtainable by anybody. This robot hit all of those marks. They really did a great job making a mechanism. Their multi-use arm was able to do a bunch of different pieces of the challenge without sacrificing anything really large, you know. So they were able to consistently pick up the game pieces, they were able to score them, they were able to do the uplink, and they were able to use the climb. The one thing, the suction climb, I'm going to give it to them and tell them that this one, the arm looked beefy enough that I think that they could make it happen. I was trying to do a little bit of math to figure out like what kind of ratios you would need to actually make it flip up and over and see if it could actually happen. And it looked like it would be obtainable. You probably need to do a little bit of tweaking of the actual suction cup itself, but it really looked like it was something that any robot can make that would go on to win any district and most regional events. You know what I mean? That was what we were looking for. We were looking for that robot that anybody can make that would really stand out and be as simple as possible. This team also did a really great job with their submission. Like, it's kind of hard to emphasize how detailed their submission was. Like, the robot was very well detailed out, and everything that they talked about in their submission, they did the math for all of the different motors. They talked about each mechanism. They talked about how the different trade-offs they were making, which was really important to us. You know, when we were trying to make something simple, we were really trying to push to understand what you're giving up, what you're sacrificing. And they had a really thought out design. It was something that we could just take and make, and it would play the game really well. So it was kind of hard to beat. The entire robot cost was really low. Their BOM was pretty detailed, so they could kind of go through and talk about what COTS parts they were making, and there was a lot of COTS parts in it to bring down that cost and make it simpler. Their manufacturing materials were really low, and the robot could be made pretty much using only a 3D printer, CNC mill, a lathe, in a router with a sheet metal bender. So it's kind of hard to beat that. And also they talked about the actual assembling of the robot, how you would put it together in separate mechanisms, and the whole thing would kind of come together as a sandwich. So they thought through every detail of putting this thing together, and it was incredibly impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it was something that when we were looking through all the submissions, it immediately stood out to me, and I was not disappointed. So awesome job to team 348.
Yeah, I think all of us were so impressed by this robot, just like looking at it, and like this robot really stressed using that one arm to do everything, which we all thought was super cool. And you can see there just like how versatile it is, how in all of those different images, like how much it can do. We definitely like seeing that this had an uplink mechanism there, in addition to like all of the different things, and was also a relatively short robot that could just zoom underneath those structures. Super cool. I think we all thought this one was really awesome, and just like its packaging and everything about it was really impressive, and definitely would be so fun to see this robot and all of the robots made to compete in a game like Storm Surge, and just like see how they do in a game, see if they withstand.
Yeah. Okay, everybody. So I am told now we need to bring in the wonderful Tyler to do our drawing for our giveaway. So Tyler.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're giving away stuff. That's right. So, yeah, we're going to be, once again, giving away a fun t-shirt and some Discord swag. They will come separately. By the way, all winners, you can shoot myself, Tyler, a message on Discord and shoot me all your information so we can get that either West Coast Products or get your stuff shipped out as well. So the keyword was uplink, and the winner for that is going to be Minnie. Congratulations for winning that. Well, you know how to reach out to me, so congrats for that. Lots of rigged emotes in chat because he's a sub, and congratulations for that. By the way, congrats to all teams. What a bunch of great designs that we've seen. And I just want to give, before I hop off, big thank you to 1678 Citrus Circuits for having an awesome game design challenge. You all did a fantastic job with this, and what a cool thing to have as well. And last thing I want to chat, it does look like the live chat that the chat favorite was the third rank team overall, which was the Symbies team. So you get, like a fake award for being chat's favorite. Congrats.
Yeah, it was awesome. So for all the teams, you can get a little bit of feedback from us. We really want to help. Part of the reason that we wanted to do this is to be able to give teams an experience where they can learn from. So if you're questioning your feedback or you want a little bit more details, feel free to hit any of us up on Discord. We can kind of talk you through the process and your scores and exactly what we think you could do to make your CAD and your robot designs even better. We're at Citrus, we're always looking to kind of help out the community. So please reach out to us. We're really happy to do all of that. All right. So congratulations to the winner of the 1678 Storm Surge CADathon team 348 arms. The top three teams, you can reach out to Tyler. He was just talking about that. Thank you to all of the teams who submitted all of their designs. We really enjoyed all of us going through and really looking at all of those and ranking them. It was really cool to see that side of things as opposed to just like building robots. And a huge thank you to West Coast Products for providing us with the gifts, and for First Updates Now for all of their support with the CADathon. Also, thank you to Ellie and Brendan for all of your awesome participation, and also to all of the 1678 students that designed this game. It was like unbelievable, blew my mind. You all did an amazing job all throughout the season working on this game. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you for your continued hard work. So good luck to all the teams this season. I can't wait to see you at a competition. I know we all can't wait to see you at a competition. Best of luck this year, and good night.
Thanks to Kettering University for their support of this video. Don't just sit in class. Kettering University is the only school in the U.S. that allows you to work as an engineer your first year with their 3-month on, 3-month off co-op programs. If you are a U.S. student grades 8 through 12, scan the QR code to stay up to date on info and events happening at Kettering and get a free Kettering t-shirt when you sign up by December 12th, 2021. We would like to thank our friends at Stryker for supporting this video. Stryker is looking for current and future FIRST alumni to join their internship program, and FIRST mentors who are looking for a great career with a company who actually supports their FIRST journey. Go to careers.stryker.com to learn more. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow. And check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.